this video, we're going to talk about two separate chemical or toxic exposures that our soldiers have experienced from and in Iraq. Now, you may ask yourself, what does this have to do with the currency rate? Everything. Until transparency enters the picture, it will be difficult for Iraq to clear the runway for an Iraqi dinar revalue that could equal the exchange rate prior to 2003.
Veterans can collect disability and get free health care at a medical center like this one when their injury or illness is connected to their military service. But proving that connection can be challenging, especially when a condition like cancer develops years later.
I thought of myself as invincible.
When Kate Hendricks Thomas joined the Marine Corps right out of college in 2002, she expected risks and sacrifices.
I understood that I could get blown up. I understood that I would have to stand duty on Christmas.
But she says what she didn't understand at age 25 at Camp Fallujah in Iraq was that her service as a military police officer might take her life years later.
I don't regret my service in any way. I just didn't think that cancer was one of the things I was risking.
Good.
13 years after she left Iraq, Kate was married with a young son when a nurse practitioner suggested she get a mammogram after learning she'd served overseas, even though Kate had no family history and most women wait until their 40s.
When they screened me, they found advanced metastatic breast cancer that was already stage 4.
Kate began fighting a new battle, reading and researching treatments and trials. Then she ran into the only other woman from her unit on the base. She had the same rare aggressive breast cancer.
A lot of people would think that's a coincidence. We don't think that's a coincidence.
Tom Porter is vice president of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, which asks its 425,000 members about their health every year.
Injuries from toxic exposures and burn pits are the most widespread, by far, health impact from the post 9/11 generation.
The VA estimates 3.5 million service members were exposed to airborne toxins and or burn pits, giant piles of trash from military bases dug into the ground, piled high and burned, often releasing thick black smoke.
They included everything that you can imagine under the sun: human waste, medical waste, chemicals, rubber tires from aircraft, jet fuel.
Porter says more than 80% of his members exposed to toxins report suffering health impacts from cancers to asthma. The VA has started a voluntary registry to track exposure illnesses.
Okay, we understand that the burn pits have caused serious toxic-related health issues for our soldiers. However, there is another toxic or chemical illness that has not been talked about for the most part. And this is what I want to share with you. Our government told us there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And we believed them even after they told us that there were. How did our soldiers come up with nerve gas health issues? Take a listen and a look at this video, and I'll leave the link in the description so you can watch the entire video, because I have edited out parts that would be hard for the general public to watch.
Footage taken by the infantry on the perimeter shows the destruction of the chemical shells. Exposure symptoms soon appeared.
We got out, we washed our hands, we didn't think much of it. We was driving back, my knife was on my leg, my right thigh, and it was irritating me, so I thought it was my knife. I went to bed, woke up that morning with a small blister.
Sergeant Duquette's blister grew to the size of his fist. The medics acted quickly. He and another soldier were rushed to a military hospital, then flown to Germany. His medical records are explicit. He'd been exposed to mustard agent. None of this was known to Sergeant Duane's team as they began suffering on another base. The clinic where they sought care seemed unprepared to treat them.
I actually had one doctor say, well, if you're not defecating on yourself or foaming at the mouth, there's nothing we can do for you. And I said, that's great, because if we were like that, it'd be nerve agent, we'd be dead.
The next day I wake up and I looked like I had a complete body sunburn. Just red in places that have never seen the sun. The first doctor I saw told me that I wasn't hit with mustard agent, and she said because I wasn't throwing up.
once the military's medical system woke up. Sergeant Dooling's 3-man team was flown from Iraq, but told not to discuss the incident.
When we got to Walter Reed, we were there a few days, and they called us in and said, "You've been exposed to mustard agent."
All of us came up positive for having HD mustard, distilled mustard in our bloodstreams.